Alrighty, welcome back, or welcome to my channel. I forgot this is my first video. I have plans for other ones, so in my head, you know, this is my 20th video, but really it's my first, but welcome, and I'm gonna go through all the books I read in March. Also, I got this little stamp from Etsy, and every time I finish a book, I get to stamp it, and it just says Library of Autumn Balcom. It has a cat on top of books. If you know I love cats, I have my own cat. Let me go grab him. This is my baby. He's very cute, very lovable. He's my reading buddy most of the time, so he'll lay with me while I read. So I had to get a cat on my bookmark. But yeah, let's jump in, and then we'll see what I read this month and give them the stamp. So these are in no particular order. They are just in whatever order I picked them up off my shelf when I was getting them ready for this video. So the first book I want to get into is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson, and I rated this a 5 out of 5 stars. So this book is about a girl named Pippa, who everyone calls Pip, and she's doing her capstone project in her senior year of high school. So a capstone project is essentially like a big semester-long project where you have to talk to tons of people, find out everything you can about this topic, and kind of present it. So she's actually doing hers on a murder that happened in town. The murder of Andy Bell. Now, Andy is portrayed as this all-American good girl. Everyone loves her. And it's assumed that her boyfriend, Sal, or her ex-boyfriend, Sal, killed her. Now, Pippa thinks Sal is innocent, and she thinks essentially he was framed, portrayed, whatever, and she doesn't think he did it. And this is her journey of finding out, did Sal do it? Didn't Sal not? I really like this book because of the format. It's not just text. I'll open it. I mean, you get interview styles, you get maps, you get a lot of other things that really shows you how Pippa is researching and looking at this. And I really like that glimpse into her brain. Now with this next book, I know I'm late to the party with this, but Shatter Me by Tahari Mafi. I don't know names. I'm so sorry if I'm butchering that. I suck at pronouncing names. But this book follows the storyline of a girl named Juliet. And Juliet actually has a fatal flaw. When she touches people, it kind of tortures them and mentally, and they can actually die from her touch. In this book, it's kind of post-apocalyptic world. Kind of the world's ended, rebuilding sort of thing, and one of the groups rebuilding is the Reestablishment. Now, we learn early on from Juliet that the Reestablishment, they're not the best group of people. They're kind of toxic. So Juliet is let out of the prison she's kept in, but she's let out to help the Reestablishment. We meet the other two main characters in this book, Warner and Adam. Now, Warner and Adam in this book, in my opinion, are set up to be the love interest. I have a favorite. I would just say it. I like Warner. I don't know why. I think I have a tendency to root for the bad guy. I don't know where the series is going, but I did already buy the whole thing. And that's such a me fault. I buy the whole series before I read the first book, because if I like the series, I want to keep reading it right away. If I don't like the series, I can always give it to a friend. And that's the way I see it. So yeah, I'm excited to continue with Juliet's journey. And Adam, Warner, I'm definitely a Warner fan. Like, y'all stay away from my man. Y'all can have Adam. If you're an Adam fan, go for him. Just stay away from Warner. This is a fiction dystopian young adult read with romance tied in. I would say it's a mix of plot and character driven book. I mean, sometimes the plot is pushing it and sometimes it's the characters pushing the plot. So it's kind of a good mix. So whether you like one of the others, you're pretty much good to read this book. There is strong character development. I think we'll get more character development later in the book, but we do see Adam. I don't think there's any character development from Warner in this book. We'll see. We'll get back to this. I'm not sure how I feel about character development yet in this series. The characters are lovable. Warner is not lovable, but that's why I love him. Adam, he's a lovable character. Others in here are lovable. Some no, some yes, so. Also, the cover is just so pretty, like, Now, I really can't remember the characters are diverse. I don't know. I remember one point, it was just mostly men, and I really don't know if they're diverse or not, so I'm not going to go into that. Yeah, definitely give this a chance. I love this. I can't wait to continue reading the rest of the series. My next read is Upgrade by Blake Crouch. I got this when I was part of Book of the Month. I have since canceled my subscription with them, but I'm not going to get into that. So this book is about this character named Logan. Now he's part of this special organization. This is set in a future time where they can basically alter their DNA to change themselves. And there's this big catastrophe where something happened, and you'll learn about it in the book, and DNA was changed, and it essentially destroyed a lot of the world. So now Logan is on this task force set to find people trying to alter DNA and apprehend them. So during one of these apprehensions, he was attacked and he got his DNA changed. And now we're following him through finding out who tried to change his DNA, why, what's happening to him, and ultimately what he's going to do about it. Now, I rated this book a 3.5 out of 5 because I feel like the author tried their best with this book. I mean, this book is very science heavy. Like, let me find a page. Like, these 2 pages is just list of genes and how they changed, and like that part got a little boring, but I would say you have to have dedication to write a book like this with all this science in it. So that's probably why I rated it a little better than I think I would have if not. I will say I would not listen to this on audiobook, and the reason why is because you cannot, when you're reading it and there's that huge page of just DNA change names, you can just skip over them with your eyes and just read the reply. While in the audiobook, you'll have to listen to that. But that's my only critique of that book, is I feel like sometimes it's too science-based. If you're a biologist, you'll love this book. That's what I'm saying, essentially. It is a science fiction and mystery book. But the mystery is kind of low. It gets solved pretty early in the book. So if that's your main reason for reading this, I would switch to another. So this is a plot-driven book. The character development, I would say, is not strong. You kind of see how everyone's going about and you kind of guess their motives. Or at least I did, but I'm really good at reading in between the lines. Well, I wouldn't say great, but I could read between lines. To me, I didn't feel the mystery aspect. I was kind of easy to solve once you got all the clues together. I don't think the book set cast is diverse. However, I could be wrong about that. The main characters, I did not love any of the characters in this book. I'll go on and say it. Every character to me felt like two-dimensional. But I still enjoyed the read enough. Next, we have Under the Moon by Vera Fox. Now, this book is about a girl named Clara. Her caretaker dies and leaves her a house essentially in a different community. Now, she moves to that other community, but surprise, surprise, the community is full of werewolves. So, the other guy in the picture is Alpha Kane. Now, he is not the alpha of the pack she's staying with. He's the alpha of another pack who's visiting. So, you see where this is going if you've read a Wattpad werewolf book once in your life. They're mated. At the beginning, she's human. He's werewolf. What will happen? You know, he's possessive, domineering. She's very shy, but then comes into herself. And that's kind of how this book goes. And you're essentially following them through their love story. I will say there's a lot happening in this book between other characters, and it's also a dual point of view book. So you get to read from both Clara and Kane's point of view. I rated this a 3 out of 5 stars. I think I've read enough werewolf books on Wattpad when I was 12 to know what to expect. I will say, if you've never read a werewolf genre book before, it might come across as intimidating or weird. But if you do and you enjoy that style of writing, you'll like this. I'll give a warning that if you don't like possessive men, you will hate Kane and you will hate everything about this book. Now, this book is plot and character driven because obviously, I mean, the love story is going to be character, but there is some major plot things that happen that keep this book going. If it was just their love story, it would have ended here. But you got all this to fill up still, so there's a lot happening in here plot-wise. At some points, the plot did feel kind of repetitive to me, but I kind of got over that, essentially, because I know in this world that's set up, there was only so much I feel like that was possible with this book and with these two characters. There was strong character development, mostly from Clara, and a few other characters had strong character development. However, I don't feel like all their character development was authentic because they wanted to. Some of the other characters not clear their development was because they're forced to because they're mates. So yeah, not really because they wanted to. That's my main gripe. The characters are lovable. You do like them. So take that with what you may. And I don't really think, at first the flaws of the characters are the main focus, but then past this point, I would say it's not. It's mostly the plot is the main focus and what's happening to them. So yeah, again, check out any triggers for this book before you start reading it, and that goes with every book. That is Under the Moon by Vera Fox. The next books I read, and I'm going to talk about these both at once, are Court and Charm by Tracy Wolff. Now these are books 4 and 5 in the Crush series by Tracy Wolff. I hate that, just to let you know. That does not come off. I would have taken it off if it does. So these books are continuing following the story of a few characters we met in Crush. And I'm going to just go ahead and give you the description of Crush. I don't want to spoil these because some of these, I mean, obviously it's a series. So if I tell you what's happening in these, it's going to spoil it. So I'm just going to bring up Crush and talk about that. So Crush follows this girl named Grace who gets moved to a boarding school because both of her parents died. Obviously, at this boarding school, not all is what it seems. It's for the supernatural, which you figure out pretty early in the book. I mean, literally, the cover page talks about one of the other main characters being a vampire. So you follow her in her coming to terms with the new world she's learning about and everything else that's going on. Now, what I really like about this series, you can see the whole series behind me. What I really like about this series is it does poke fun at itself. The first book actually mentions Twilight in a pretty funny way, or at least I thought it was funny. I will say the first book is kind of stereotypical of what you think, but once you get in the second, the third, and the fourth, it really goes beyond my expectations for the series. So I'll tell you what I rated each book and kind of a little how it was driven, and character summary. Now, Court, I rated it a 4 out of 5 stars, and Charm, I rated it a 3 out of 5 stars. The one issue I would say with this book series is Tracy Wolff carries on when she does not need to. At some points, I felt like I could skip 4 or 5 paragraphs and not miss any plot or anything that's going on. However, that's not a bad thing. I love this world. This is honestly my recent obsession series right now. I have to have one series to obsess over at a time, and Crush is that. So, yeah. Next, I read Haunting Adeline by H.D. Carlton. So this book follows 2 people. It follows, I forgot their names already. I literally just finished reading this today. I'm stupid. It follows Adeline and Zane. Now, Adeline is this author. Her grandma died and left her her old house. She has tension with her mom. Now, this is my first dark romance read, and I rate this book a 2 out of 5. I just don't think dark romance was for me, or maybe this dark romance isn't for me, because there are some very triggering things in this book, but that wasn't even my issue with it. My issue with it was there are some things that happen in this book that everything that happens in this book is happening in the real world. But I think this book romanticizes some things that should not be romanticized. And I know that's the point of dark romance. However, I would have liked a discussion about that in the book between the main character and the other main character, the 2 love interests, Adeline and Zane. But I just don't think dark romance was for me. At the end of the day, it was good. I mean, some of the points I was good. I was intrigued by it, but other points I was not. Definitely check the triggers before you go into this book. This book hits on very deep, very heavy topics. So yeah. So this book is a mix between character and plot driven. I don't think it has a diverse set of characters, at least to me reading it did not. I personally don't feel like there was any character development in this book. I really didn't love it. Again, I don't think dark romance is for me. I think I figured that out reading this book. I will not continue reading on Hunting Adeline. There is a plot twist at the end of the book, so if you're not into books that end with that, you're not going to like this. The flaws of the main characters are written in the book, but I don't think they're a focus as much as they should have been. At all, no hate if you enjoy this genre. I just don't think this is a genre I enjoyed. And I figured that out, so I don't think I'm going to be sticking my toes back into dark romance anymore. Next, I read Three Tales by Gustavo Flatterbot. Flaubert. I'm not even going to try. So basically, there's 3 different stories. It's a short book, but I will say it's slow paced. I like the first and second story more than I like the third, but this is a classic. It's a little hard to get into, and at some points I've found myself zoning out and having to reread it. But I would say as far as classics go, this one was pretty interesting, especially the second story. I love the second story. I rated this book a 3 out of 5 stars. I did have a little trouble following it at some points, but that's because classics are not something I read often. I'm trying to push myself into that genre. And there are some words in this book that can be triggering. And there's some words in this book that are nowadays not okay to say. I just wanted to give that output in here. So yeah, just go into this book with the expectation that it was written in, I think, 1820s. It was definitely not written in 1820 because the author was born 1821. Let me find out when this was written real quick. This book was written in 1877, or published in 1877, one or the other. So yeah, just know that going into this. Next is the problematic queen herself, Colleen Hoover, with November 9th. I rated this book 1 star. I did not like it. I just kind of wanted, at the beginning I liked it, like up to here I liked it, but past this, I wanted to throw this book at the wall. I mean, there's some things that happen in here, and again, triggering. Look out. And I have the new updated version that does not have the scene that was deleted, and I didn't know there was a scene that was in here that was deleted until I looked it up on TikTok, and I found that out, and I got even more mad about this book existing. The reason I don't like this book is because the main character, the main guy, well, let me tell you a synopsis real quick before I jump in. In this book, Fallon meets Ben. Fallon is a actress who is scarred from a bad fire. Ben is an aspiring artist. They met because Fallon's dad was not being very nice to her, and Ben pretended to be her boyfriend to come in and save her. Now, they make a plan to meet up every November 9th, get a story, catch up on life. He's writing a book. She needs to become an actress, act in some plays, let people laugh at her, and whatnot. So throughout this book, you kind of see them coming together through their journey, what they're doing each November, and them meeting. Now, onto why I don't like this book. That's enough of that. Ben is a problematic king. I mean, at the end of the book, I was so upset. I would have been okay if Colleen Hoover made this book end badly for Ben, but it did not. Ben got everything he wanted, and that pissed me off. Colleen, me and you need to chat. I like some of your other books. I'm still deciding where I lay on this Colleen Hoover debate. I will say, I don't think any of her books should be marketed as romance. Yet they all are. And I don't know if that's on her, but whenever I see romance, one of the first things I always see is Colleen Hoover. I think these books should be marketed as, like, contemporary, because while I don't think the events of this book happen in real life, there's some other books that do have real world implications. And I think if she didn't market ABUSE as romance, that her books would be better received. Now, I know there's some drama going on with who she is as a person. I don't really look into that. I kind of don't like knowing about the people who write my books, because I feel like that tells me too much about them when I read. So, yeah. Ben is a problematic king, and if I met him in real life, I would knock him out. That's all you need to know. The next book is Just Haven't Met You Yet by Sophia Cousins, I think. Now, this book is about Laura. She's a hopeless romantic. She works for a lifestyle kind of blog, and essentially she goes on a business trip for her blog to get some real life content following her mother and father's love story. Now, on this book, she kind of romanticizes everything a guy does, except the main guy you want her to romanticize. And yeah, I need to take that sticker off, but I've just been too lazy to do it yet. Ouch. I rated this book a 3.5 out of 5 stars. I really liked it. I didn't feel like it was longer than it needed to be, which is a main gripe I have with a lot of books, is that it's longer than it needs to be. Anyways, on the way to her business trip, Laura's on a plane, and she picks up the wrong luggage and she's going through this mystery guy's luggage, and she finds out, like, wow, this is my type of man. So it's essentially not only her reporting on her parents' love story, but her trying to find who this mystery man is so she can fall in love with him. Now, this book does have notes of feminism in it, especially the main character's best friend. I mean, it's a pretty good book. I like the characters. I felt the characters were lovable. It's fiction, contemporary romance. There is strong character development, and we see that throughout the book, and I like that. I love when a character develops strongly in a good way. The characters are lovable. I mean, there's really no one I root against in this book. My final read was The Secret Year by Jennifer Hubbard. This book is a contemporary romance, young adult, told from the perspective of Colt, a high school student. Now, Colt's girlfriend, secret girlfriend, kind of sneaky link, dies, but no one knows he and her were dating because she's high society, he's low socioeconomic, so they don't let everyone know. Plus, she had a boyfriend, so it's about him coming to terms with what happened, his character development, and so on and so forth. I rated this book a 2.75 stars. My one issue is this book seemed like Jennifer did not know what high schoolers act like or did. And maybe that's because this book was written in 2010. I wasn't in high school in 2010. I was in 9th grade. Maybe high schoolers were different than when I went to high school, but high schoolers did not act like this in this book. Or maybe that's just because I'm poor and I'm not high society, that I don't really experience what Julie, the main character, experienced. But essentially, this book is supposed to be Romeo and Juliet mixed with The Outsiders. I do not think there was strong character development in this book. I didn't see anything really come. The characters kind of were static and stayed the same the whole time. I'd say this book is very slow paced, or it feels slow paced, and there's not really a big build up to anything, and there's not a big conclusion. So if you want issues, conclusion, I don't think this book would be for you. But honestly, I enjoyed it. It's pretty short. You can get through it quickly. So if that's what you're looking for, something to up your reading, great, this might be the book for you. I didn't hate it. I just rated it 2.75, not because I hated it, but because I felt like the author could have done more. But overall, I mean, I still really enjoyed the book. So